Once the device is configured, go ahead and hit save, click on update. It's going to update your controller. And now what you're going to be able to do is what you were seeing a minute ago, which is on a specific zone. I now have the ability to live test the power, mute, the do not disturb, which has to do with paging and presets, and loudness, as well as volume control and source management. So let me show you some of these things. So for example, audio zone 1, I'm going to turn it on right now. And I don't know if you can hear that through the speaker or not, but I'm playing music out of Vantage DMM source 1 already. So I'm going to now ramp the volume. Let's mute it for a second. So what you're seeing now is a DMM source that was already playing. It's hooked up to the 850, and I'm controlling that through the editor to test to make sure everything is okay. Now, I didn't write any tasks to do this. This is all automatically created based on the fact that you've added that object and configured it in DC, and you have a live yellow V connection to the controller. Okay, so again, you're ramping volume, and this is just testing. This isn't setting max levels. This isn't setting min levels. This isn't setting any kind of procedures or any of those kinds of things. You're just testing the device. Let's say, for example, I wanted to change sources now off of DMM source 1. I'm just going to press that arrow. So now I'm listening to Johnny Cash instead of Bruce Springsteen. Or let's go to, and I muted it, let's go to source 3, unmute. Okay, nothing's playing. And let's go to source 4 here. Let me see if I can get something on source 3 playing so you believe me here. And then on source 4. And so you would just swipe through source 1, source 2, source 3, source 4. There's tuner 1, tuner 2, and the iPod dock. And I don't have anything playing on those devices. Or you can jump to directly through the drop-down list and just jump directly to specific sources rather than these arrow overs to set those settings. So that's testing the zone. That's amplification. That's the power for that particular zone, and I could do the same thing to audio zone 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number of zones number that I'm working with. Now in the audio levels tab, these are going to be permanent settings. Here you're setting what the bass level is going to be for the zone. Here you're setting what the treble value is going to be for the zone and the max volume. So let's say I want to set the bass a little higher, the treble a little higher, and the volume a little bit lower. Plus you can balance left and right between the speakers, and any kind of delay. Let's say you're using a video input and there's some type of delay as the signal comes. So let's say it's a set-top box. A cable receiver is on one of these inputs, and you need to adjust for a delay between the audio signal and the video signal that you're seeing in the room. Then you can go ahead and adjust that delay to be whatever it may need to be. Okay, so there's the common settings and then the audio levels, which are permanent settings. Now one additional thing we've added in the DC 3.0 and the ability to test these zones is also to test the sources live. So let's say, for example, there's Bruce, gotta love him. I'm going to turn that down a little bit, and I'm going to move over to my sources now. And I'm listening to, notice I'm listening to DMM source 1. So I'm going to click now on DMM source 1, and notice at the very bottom here I get transport commands. I just paused that. There's play, there's pause. Now let me go back and ramp the volume so you can hear that in case you can't really tell that's going on. So I'm going to go back up a little bit higher, go back to DMM 1. So there's play, there's pause. There's play. Let's skip ahead. Okay, so I can skip back, skip next. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually controlling the DMM as well. So what we do is we take and we put the most commonly used commands, like these transport commands, into different devices. And it's not just, for example, the DMM that we have control over. The iPod dock. I could play, pause, skip, and depending, what we do is we read the driver and we know, okay, he supports these commands, so we populate those along the bottom. Such here you notice that we've got a command for the volume and the mute that we wouldn't normally have on the DMM, because the dock itself has some amplification controls. And on the tuners, notice we're only going to using power, and then we have a preset control, and then we have a scan or a seek setting that we use. And so in this particular case, depending on the driver that you're using in the project and that is assigned to a specific source input on the 850, we populate some pre-programmed transport commands along the bottom, so you can do some quick testing as well to make sure your driver is connected and controllable and working as well. So this is going to help you troubleshoot to know whether or not it's a system problem or if it's a task problem that you're running into. Because if you can control it from here but not from a touchscreen, well then maybe there's something wrong with your touchscreen programming. Maybe the touchscreen isn't configured, maybe it's offline, or maybe the task is or incorrectly programmed. So there's a lot of huge values here for those who are troubleshooting the 850 from Design Center as a centralized tool to make sure that your zones, your sources, the configuration, everything is doing what it needs to be doing in order to be successful in the project. So one last area that I did want to show was the area of presets with paging and presets. Now you're going to want to read the instruction manual pretty good on how to use presets correctly in the paging, but this isn't anything new for those of you who have done multi-room audio systems before. But what I wanted to show here was the ability to upload a sound file. Now what you're going to do is you're going to be able to pick a specific wave file. So let's say you wanted to bring together a I don't know, AC/DC, and I don't have any wave files in here. They're all MP3s. But what you would do is you would have that ability to upload a wave file so that when preset 1 goes off, like a doorbell, you're going to be able to play that sound over the speaker system, over your multi-room audio. So, and then you pick which zones that's going to play in, and then go ahead and set an alarm if you want to enable a specific that sound to be played on a specific day at a specific time. So a lot of things that you can do with the 850, from live zone management, live source management, quick programming and template usage, as well as iPad and iPhone app implementations. We'll read these zones in just like we will with the 450s and control them through the apps, through touchscreens, through tasks. Live source management, add as many as you need stacked objects, up to 72 zones, and 12 sources. So I think that's going to be what we'll focus on for today's discussions. And last but not least, just make sure you're aware of the media player source, which is a NAS-based network player that can stream music from a NAS through its own source and pull that product or pull that sound file, those sound files in through different zones. So the nice thing about this is once you map your network storage location, okay, and we've added username and password information so that you can get onto any NAS-based devices that are password protected and network password protected. You can go through and add those. You can add this source, or you can control this source just like you would any other device. There's simplistic transport commands. We support play, pause, stop, and skip. We support also feedback on current song. But what we don't support on this particular media player source is the ability to see a list of the upcoming songs or what may be in a now playing queue or in a playlist. You're just going to see what's currently playing. So this media player source is an onboard media source that will allow you to map it to a network attached storage server and stream that set of music files through the Axiom or through the 850 directly and play that through any of the zones in there. Now you're going to want to pay special attention to the installation instructions because as that gets sent through stacked amplifiers, it changes some of the source input requirements that we won't cover in today's lesson on the software side. But be aware that that's out there, and good luck. And